Hello and welcome to my review of Radiata Stories. Radiata Stories was one of the few action RPGs that I played on the PS2. It was a very much overlooked title I found, which is the reason for doing this review. When I bought Radiata Stories when I was a kid, I wasn't really expecting much of it. I'm glad that I gave Radiata Stories a chance back then. Radiata Stories is probably my second most played RPG on the PlayStation 2. This game just had this unique charm to it that made the game very memorable to me. It's probably one of my favorite games on the PS2. Now without further ado, let's begin the review. Radiata Stories is a console-style RPG that was developed by Tri-Ace and published by Square Enix. Graphically, the game looks great for a PS2 title. Even by today's standards, it doesn't look half bad. The game uses cel-shaded graphics, which shows off how bright and vibrant Radiata Story is. And it works wonderfully. Radiata Story is probably one of the better looking PS2 games that I've played. Environments also look great, from the majestic Radiata Castle, to the different districts of the city, to the forest metropolis of the Dark Elves. Each region looks visually stunning for a PS2 game. They're so unique from each other. Dungeon design in Radiata Story is also pretty straightforward most of the time, so you won't really get lost in them, with the exception of a few dungeons. Though there is a minimap you have access to by pressing the R1 button, so that will help you considerably navigating through the dungeons. Plot-wise, the game starts you out with you playing as Jack Russell, boy who is following his father's footsteps and becoming a great knight. Overall, the game plot doesn't really do anything new. Radiata Stories doesn't really have a plot that makes you go wow, but I have to say what made playing through the story enjoyable to me is the humor.
Master Jack, thank you, that's enough! Please, let go, Jack! Ouch! Master Jack, please, stop pinching me!
I know I don't mean it so bad that it's good sort of humor. The game is legitimately funny when it wants to be, and when it is, man, it's funny. If anything, I got to give it bonus points for the humor in the game. Although it does have an abrupt ending, the humor in the story made the game very enjoyable to me. The characters are also pretty good overall. There are about 177 recruitable characters. Yep, you heard me right. 177 recruitable characters. And each have their own unique look and personality to them. You can even recruit a cameo character in your ranks after you beat the game, and can even read individual character background information in your encyclopedia or friend list book when you recruit them. What makes a character even more endearing to me is that each of them got their own unique schedule that they do from morning to night, which really give each individual character more personality. This was pretty unique to me when I first played it, since I never really played a console style RPG that did this before. I didn't really see anything like it until I played Oblivion on the Xbox 360. It really makes the world of Radiata Story feel somewhat alive. Jack's overall appearance can also change due to armor, so that's also a nice addition. The soundtrack of Radiata Story is pretty good, and the voice acting is solid. Overall, Radiata Stories got great presentation. I first get into the combat system of Radiata Stories. Radiata Story combat system plays like an action game with RPG elements to it. It has the standard control scheme of action RPG, such as attacking, blocking, special attack, parrying, though I don't really find the point of parrying in this game, and backstepping, which you can do by pressing blocking twice. There's also a Voti gauge, which is the gauge you see at just below the HP bar. It's an MP bar of sorts. This gauge is required for special attacks, Voti Blast, which is basically a super attack which consumes all the points of your Voti gauge, and special orders, which can raise your allies' strength. You can also form special links, which require Voti points. That requires all 3 or 4 teammates usually. Each link got their own unique abilities. You can learn different kind of skills for Jack from your companions through links, which have different effects, such as one increasing your stats when it's daytime, one increasing your stats at nighttime, or one particularly strong skill, which is called Tri-Ace, which triple your stats when it's equipped. Though do note that if one of your character gets hit with a status element, gets incapacitated, or you just run out of Voti points, then the link will break. Do know that the enemy can also do special links just like you do? Well, not monsters, basically only human type of enemies. You can get links through the books or through treasure chests in dungeons. The leveling system in Radiata Stories is pretty standard in that you level up when you gain enough experience points. It's basically a linear progressive leveling system, which is present in most console style RPGs. Overall, the combat system is pretty simple and fun. The link system does add to the combat system, and you can order your allies to do specific actions during battle, but it's ultimately a pretty simple combat system. In the customization department of the game, you can really only equip different kinds of weapon and armor for Jack only. Other characters you can recruit gets predefined set of equipment, so you can't really customize any character besides Jack. It makes the character more unique in a sense, but also feel that negates the need for so many recruitable characters when you can't really change their equipment, which will result in you ditching one character for another that has better equipment. Jack himself got a good amount of customization in Radiata Stories. Jack has a couple of weapons he can choose from, such as the one-handed sword, two-handed sword, and a spear. Each weapon type got their own unique moveset. You can modify which specific attack that Jack would do in combat in order to attack as well. Overall, while the only character you can customize is Jack, I feel that he offers enough customization that isn't necessarily a con with the lack of customization of the recruitable characters. The recruitment system is fairly simple in Radiata Stories, that you'll be able to organize which character goes into your party through the friend list at Theater Vancourt. Obtaining some characters can be tricky though, since each of them got their own unique side quest that you need to do in order to convince them to join on Jack's adventures. Those side quests will sometimes require you to get an item, visit them at different times of the day for multiple days, etc. There's also additional side quests you can obtain from Theater Vancourt, which is also where you get job quests to progress the story. So there's a bit of content Radiata Stories. Likewise, the game will take you around 20 to 30 hours to complete, but there's an extra dungeon when you complete the game, and also a new Game Plus feature in the form of Start from Strong option when you're in the loading screen with a clear save data. Overall, Radiata Story got a fun, if simple, combat system, decent customization, a good amount of content to do in the form of trying to convince people in Radiata Stories to join Jack, an extra dungeon that is available after beating the game. Overall, Radiata Story is a good game. It got a fun and simple combat system with tons of unique characters which you can recruit into your party. The storyline is entertaining if only for the humor, and is visually stunning for a PS2 game. Though at the same time, it doesn't really have anything that elevates Radiata Story from a good game to a great game. There is no big flaw with the game, but it doesn't really have any elements that makes me think this is a great game. I know this is strange since this is one of my favorite PS2 games I played, but I can't really say it's a great game. It's a fun, simple, and charming in its own way, which makes it very memorable to me, but at the same time it doesn't really do anything great gameplay wise. I personally give this game a 7.5 out of 10. It's a fun and simple game that really has no big flaws. A very enjoyable game overall. Plus, you can go around kicking random people and fight them. That by itself is pretty fun to do.